Buddy, welcome to a live edition of EdSales Edge. And we're catching you at a different time for a very important reason. And so you also might see that I've got this light up, Rachel, I've got this light up because the sun is going down here in the east. And it's
Yeah.
very close to me here in the east. So I've got this light. I look nice, like I haven't seen the sun in many months, which is very true. All good. We're not here to talk about me or the sun. What we're here to talk about is credibility. And one of the things I wanted to kind of talk to you about as we get going, and I'll introduce you, is this idea that we were kicking around in our cohort today, is that a lot of founders in the education space treat LinkedIn like a slot machine. You post, you wait, you pull the lever, and you just hope for likes and comments. But people like you, Rachel, you're not really there for likes and comments. What you're there for, and you are there to watch and decide who you trust. So introduce yourself, please. Let our audience know who you are, and then let's talk slot machines.
Well, I am not a gambler. I am way too cheap to be a gambler. But my name is Dr. Rachel Edoho-Eket, and I serve as a school principal in Central Region in Maryland. And I also serve as the president of the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals. And I love being in both of those roles. I really get an opportunity to interface with staff and students and the community members on a regular basis. And I love being able to continue to learn and to grow in both of those roles.
Fantastic. And I am not a gambler either. Never understood it.
Good.
So I don't treat LinkedIn like a place where I gamble or a slot machine. The reason you and I got a chance to talk at FETC is I wanted to talk to you at this point around credibility. And so can you talk about how, for people like you, principals who are on LinkedIn, who are parts of associations, that you as leaders are watching and you are deciding who you trust long before you might like or comment? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is really especially great for connecting with people. And I always connect with people who are doing similar work, first of all, and work that I can relate to. So if they're sharing topics or blogs or things to enhance us and grow as leaders, then I definitely am going to connect and follow with them. And I also like kind of those motivational pages. Every now and then it's good to like hear those quotes that will help me on a day where I need that. But ultimately, I like to connect with the people who are in a similar work and are challenging each other to do better and to learn more. I definitely connect with everyone in that space.
I like that idea of challenging. And one of the strategies that we talk about with our clients is that you should engage in a place like LinkedIn or Instagram, even like a colleague and not a marketer. And that credibility doesn't come from sounding impressive. It comes from being genuinely helpful.
Yeah.
And when we work with our clients, we encourage them to write like you are a coach, because you are a subject matter expert. So coach people on and begin to earn trust that way. So how do you approach when you are on LinkedIn or whether you're on Instagram or any other social media platform to engage like a colleague, not a marketer?
Yeah, I really like that idea of sharing good work and sharing strategies and communicating like a coach, because I think all of us, no matter what stage we're in leadership, can benefit from hearing from someone else who's experienced something, even if that person has less experience than you. If they have experienced something that you are going through, that can make a big difference in how you connect with them. So I really like the idea of coaching and sharing more about your personal experiences. I always think about when I first started on social media several years ago, I used to just tell stories about when I was a stay-at-home mother, or when I was a new principal, or how I felt as a kindergarten teacher transitioning into leadership and school-based as an assistant principal. And it was really cool because when you tell your stories, people then will connect with you and tell their stories. So that's always a nice way to build that trust and rapport with people that you may not even know, but you're really connected with people all over the world. And that's been such a blessing in my life to do that.
That's so true. And as you were saying that, I was also thinking about one of the other ways. I think we talked about this, that I like to think about LinkedIn is like the gym, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you think about the broader world, right, that we all live in, but then you also think if you've ever been a member of a gym, there's that gym world, and you
Mm-hmm.
see the same people every single time, and you're like, wow, that person, how they get so fit and so strong, and they look so healthy. Well, we know it's through consistency, it's
Mm-hmm.
through hard work, and and so your followers on LinkedIn or people on Instagram, you didn't get there overnight. You got there through a steady presence, but it's not always easy to show up, right?
Yeah, and I just want to say there are people with much larger followings than me. Like I don't really consider myself to be like this major influencer by any means, but I do think consistency is important, and I do think after a while people will look to hear your voice or to hear what's going on. They're genuinely happy when you're sharing good news or celebrations about your school or things that have happened even in with their colleagues. So I think that you can really build that rapport with people and build that credibility at the same time. But you're right, it does take a high level of consistency to grow, to keep growing in
Yeah,
that way. Yeah.
that's true. And uh, much like the gym, you may see somebody and there's one of my favorite. Dr. Ellis was there this morning, and
Mm-hmm.
we were having these conversations about credibility, and so welcome, Dr. Ellis, to the show, and this idea of the gym where you kind of see people and um, you might I don't know if envy is the right word, but where they are in their health journey, and say I want to get there. So I think that's really important to have people
Mm-hmm.
that you can look up to and say they're doing it in a way that I like it. The the
Yeah.
the thing is though, it compounds over time, but it does take time. And um, have you had an experience where long before you liked a post, long before you commented on a post, long before you sent a message to somebody, that you were interested potentially in the platform or the solution they had, but you were just kind of lurking on the sidelines, watching them and learning from them? Have you had experiences like that?
Yeah, I think in our principal world, we have so many dynamic principals in K through 12. So in my space, I'm in a ESP, which is the National Organization for Elementary, but there's also the secondary NASSP for high school and some middle school principals as well. And I have seen so many prominent and amazing principals who are authors and speakers and just with a great platform well before I even entered my own kind of into my own social media piece. And so I've always connected with people through like their writings and their books.
Mm.
So a lot of the people that I originally followed were people that I had read their books. And I was really in tune with their stories and with what they were sharing. So then when I started my social media pages, those were the first people that I looked for to follow because I wanted to learn more from them and I wanted to read their blogs and I wanted to see what other thoughts that they had on different things that were happening in their schools. So I started with authors that I really enjoyed who were definitely school-based leaders. And then I came on social media and just began to follow them when I made my own page. Kind of went from there.
This is in your response. It's kind of the second time you talked about stories, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm with you. I think stories are so important. People who have followed me or I've gotten to know that I was very open about losing my father in last June, and that I was going through grief that I'd never experienced. And as an entrepreneur, I go through things every single day, and I just fight the fire and knock them down. But this grief thing, I couldn't seem to really win. And
Yeah.
apparently, there's no winning. You just have to go through it. And that was a story I told. And you mentioned stories. How important is it? And how do you find that line of telling people stories about your life or your family or things you've been through? How do you find that line?
Well, I always like to think about what I'm comfortable with sharing. So, most people have noticed that they don't really see pictures of my husband and my children on my page. And that's intentional because that's something that we talked about years ago when I started the public platform, that they wouldn't be on the page. But I often refer to my husband and children a lot in my stories. Or like most recently, I had when people were posting their pictures from 10 years ago, 2016, I talked about how I was a newer mom
Mhm.
and my children were 3 years old. I have twins. Now they're in high school. And what I said in the picture was that it was my yearbook picture from that year. And I said, there was a lot happening behind my smile. And I think people can relate to that because as educators, we are used to putting on a face. As business and entrepreneurs, no matter what's going on, we have that kind of front
Mhm.
facing to the world persona that we're doing. But when I said behind my smile, there was a lot going on. And then I went into what was actually happening and how I was struggling. But you may not have been able to tell by the picture. A lot of people came in the comments that I can relate to that. I also was a new mom, or I was managing burnout, or, I remember how I felt. So I can really resonate with your story. So I don't know where the line is. I think for me, I do have some boundaries that are pretty firm, but I am also very authentic and honest when I am sharing something that's personal because I think it's important that people know it's not just about what you see. Sometimes we can make some judgments on, oh, that person has it all together. That person is poised. They can do no wrong. That's not the case. No one is like that. Uh,
Right.
Similarly, when I talk about entering therapy years ago and how it changed my life, a lot of times people are surprised to hear about therapy. I said therapy is really important, and I recommend therapy for everybody, no matter if you're struggling in that moment or not. Sometimes it's just good to connect and talk with someone who is neutral and doesn't know you as well, but can really help you and gain insights about yourself. So
You're here.
I always share that freely because I think that mental health is really important. And I think that's something that all of us can continue to focus on and improve. So,
Yeah.
certain things I do not have a lot of boundaries with, and that would be one of them.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. The other
Yeah.
the other part that I see from you, and I think we both believe in, and sometimes is easier said than done, is the LinkedIn part is important, and that's something you can do from sitting here in Washington D.C. Or outside of Washington D.C. where you are. But you also sometimes got to get on a plane. You were at the Capitol, I
Yes.
think, yesterday, and then we met
Yes.
in Orlando. And you got to
Yes.
kind of get out, and you need to really shake hands. You get to know people, and that
Yes.
also is a different type of credibility that compounds maybe even faster. So
Yeah.
you talk about the need to get out there and really see people face to face, even when you may not
Yeah.
want to.
That's important too. And honestly, that's to me my favorite part is being able
Mhm.
to go to conferences and meet people like you and other great people's connecting in person. I think the most fun part the last couple of years is having relationships with people online and then having that opportunity to meet them in person. That's always cool. I always look forward to that. Or sometimes people will say, I follow you on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I follow you. It's great to see
Yeah,
you in person. So those personal connections, those touch points are really important too. I've
yeah,
always sometimes I'm surprised by people because sometimes their persona online is just different when you meet them. Like they might be more introverted than what I thought or
totally.
extroverted. So I think that's always fun too. Or they're really tall, or those things are fun when you get an opportunity to meet someone in person and connect. It's in a different way.
Yeah, I
I had to
laugh
throw that
because
in. So
when I was on TV in Harrisonburg, Virginia, I'd be out and people would always say, "Wow, I always thought you were a lot taller." I'm like, "Why? You've never seen me stand up?" Because I was sitting at the desk. And then to the
yeah,
point, it's I also have found the converse to be true. For example, I'll call him out. I don't know if you know Jeff McCoy from ERDI, but
no,
Jeff is like super fun, and I was looking at my phone to see when's the last time we talked, and it was
Mhm.
earlier today because they're at ASA, and I found
Oh,
out
yes.
through Facebook that Jeff cannot stand Crocs, and I am
Oh,
very not into Crocs. And
I'm
so
also not a Crocs person.
I didn't think you were a Crocs person.
No.
So I thought I was in a safe space here, but Jeff and I, who have known each other from ERDI and conferences, we now have
Mhm.
had this conversation over Crocs that keeps popping up and popping up and popping up. So next
Yeah.
time we get to see each other, we're going to be a little bit closer, which is cool. So I think,
Yeah.
those connections, the converse can be true too. You can start
Yeah.
them at a conference and then get to know somebody in a different light, even about Crocs, and become
Yes.
closer, which is
Well,
pretty
I'm going to
cool.
give you one caveat to my Crocs. So I have
Okay.
one pair of Crocs. They're not real Crocs. They're off-brand Crocs, but they
Okay.
are personalized Crocs. And I got them because my students love Crocs years ago. And so I bought a pair off of Etsy, and I found like you could put a cartoon character. So I personalized them. I put my name on them. I put my face on there, like a caricature face, and a red
Okay.
dress. I always wear dresses, and I wore them to school, and the kids told me they were like Jordans. Dr. Edoho-Eket, you have your own shoe, just like Michael Jordan. I said, it's not quite like
Okay.
Michael Jordan, but thank you for that. Yes, they
Okay.
are very
And
popular when I wear them.
how many times have you worn them?
I only wear them in school on select occasions, and they stay tucked away in my drawer in the office.
Okay. They stay in the office. So when you get out of your car,
I
you're
do
wearing.
not wear them in public. No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to allow this, and I'm going to let Jeff weigh in at some point as well. I will say that we have one pair of Crocs in our house, and
Okay.
it was given by my first cousin, who's like a brother to me, to our daughter, as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Oh,
pretty sure they've
lovely.
never seen the light of day. So that's
So
good.
you've never put them on outside of the house either?
Me, I've never worn a pair of Crocs in my life.
Oh, period. Okay. I'm one up on you then. I've definitely worn a pair of Crocs, and they are comfortable, but I cannot get, and mine are off-brand Crocs, so they're not even the real ones.
Okay. Well, you have maintained, even through your Croc story, your credibility with this community and with me. There's an exception to every single rule, and I think you might have found it because it's good for the kids, so
Thank you.
it's allowed.
Thank you.
I love it. Tell
That's
us
right. It's
where
allowable.
you're going over the next couple of weeks and months. What conferences do you have on your schedule? Because I'm sure you have a busy schedule.
Oh, yeah, I have some good conferences coming up. We have our assistant principals conference, our statewide conference that's coming up at the end of the month in about 2 weeks. Then we also have our partners, MASSP. There's a women's leadership conference. So I'll be talking about ways to leverage social media to create a
Cool.
platform. So I'm really excited. That's a new session I've been working on. And then I'll also be keynoting the National Family Engagement Symposium. That'll be in April in North Carolina. And then I'll be at ASCD ITSE. Really excited for that. That'll be in Orlando in June. Lots of great conferences coming up in the summer and the fall as well. But I'm just very blessed and excited to continue to connect with people across all these great conferences.
That's awesome. Well, Dr. Ellis weighed in and said Crocs are the worst. So we have
Oh,
another person
okay.
who agrees with us.
So now we have a triad, the three of us. That's great.
That's us. We're gonna fight. Well, and Jeff.
Oh, okay. Four.
Jeff,
Okay.
Jeff's it. Yeah. So you'll have to, I'm sure Jeff will be at ACD, and so you'll have to meet him.
Yeah, that'll be fun this year in Orlando. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. I know you got to run and you got to get your daughter at basketball, right? First, you got to go to
That's
the
right.
grocery store. You got to do
Yes.
all these wonderful things. It's Thursday night. Valentine's Day is coming up. So thank you for
Yes.
taking the time. It's a busy time. And thank you for being a model for people to be more comfortable, to be very clear in their credibility, because I think it's really important for our audience of entrepreneurs to make sure that they are doing this in a comfortable way, but that they are doing it. So thank you for
Yes.
being a model of that. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me as always.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.